Ladies and gentlemen, girls and boys, influencers of all ages, welcome to A Drink with James, episode 18. Fashion Week is over, and we have what the basic amongst us would call the fashion flu. I feel like there's just a group of people that get sick at the end of every fashion week, and they're just like, oh my God, it was just so busy, and I am so tired, and I'm so sick, and apparently that is me, because I am tired and I feel sick. I don't know if you've been following along, but Tim has been putting out a lot of great content. We did these really cool features on people it was their first fashion week. So we had somebody from HL Group who was working their first fashion week as a PR person. We had an influencer who was their first fashion week. We had a photographer who was their first fashion week. And my favorite one is a designer. We worked with the Art Institute and we got to highlight a designer from Miami that was showing at Fashion Week for the first time, which is just an incredible experience, because there's not a lot of people that, you have a dream your whole life and then you realize that dream. And we got to capture the realization of that dream on camera, which is pretty special and pretty neat. So if you haven't seen that video especially, check it out somewhere around here. Definitely make sure you watch it. And we will move on to the questions, which, before we do, homework time. Make sure you keep sending questions. I say this every 3 or 4 episodes because y'all get lazy and you have to be reminded constantly. So please keep sending questions. How do you convince brands to work with you if you have a strong blog following, but a shitty social following? Excuse my French. Good question. Listen, you have to highlight what you're good at, let's theoretical here, right? I'm going into a bar, I want to talk to a nice young lady who I find attractive and interesting. I'm not going to go up to her and say, hey, my name's James, I live in a small tenement apartment in the Lower East Side. What else is terrible about me? I am kind of skinny and have a weird body. I often am an obsessive, and you won't see much of me because I ride my bike, 20 hours a week. So I hate brunch. I actually loathe it, and don't have a TV, and will never watch television with you. I don't go into that situation that way. You highlight the good things about you, not the bad things. So I might say I have great hair, which is true, or what else is real? I wear a suit every day. I'm well read. And you highlight the good, not the bad. So the same goes if you have good blog traffic, then spin that story. Say, look, I have 50,000 people a month typing in the URL and coming to my blog. You might have someone with 50,000 followers, but that, you could say that's a more passive following. These people are coming to your blog. They want to see your content, and they're spending the time to be 100% focused on what you're creating. And I think that you can spin that into something that is really valuable, because I think that blog traffic is really valuable, and it's becoming increasingly rare. So if you are good at that and you have that strong traffic, then juxtapose yourself to those people who have a big social following. At the same time, try and build that social following, because a balanced following across all platforms is always the best way to go. And as you know, Instagram is kind of the thing that's advertising you to brands, and they can kind of see it and they can understand your reach right away. So while you want to focus on the good things, make sure you try and even up the social and blog content, traffic, following, whatever it is. Yeah, more good things about me. I'm a fun drunk. I think you guys all would agree with that. Did I already say something about suits? I've got 30 of them, so I could have a full month where you wouldn't see me in the same outfit. I love my mother very much. We have a great relationship. I think that's pretty appealing. I have a car in the city, I could take you places. I am the CEO of a fastly growing startup that, people like Tim choose to work for. I used to be a really good photographer. I could take your photo, I had braces when I was young. Teeth are pretty straight. do you keep going if you're not growing as fast as everyone else? Good question. It is, I think we've touched on this before, but it's so easy to look at everybody else and get frustrated. And I think in a video in the past, I had talked about how a lot of the really popular influencers have been doing this for 7, 8, 9 years, and how it just takes time, But when you see other people who maybe started at the same time as you that are growing faster than you, I think it's important to understand that just everyone is on their own path. And it could be frustrating to you that, X person is growing quite quickly, but if you want to make this your job and you want to make it your career, which if you're watching these videos, I'm assuming that's what you want, then you're in this for the long game. And the fact that over, 6 months this person gained 30,000 followers and you only gained 5,000, use that to fuel you and to try harder and to learn from what they're doing, certainly. Watch these videos, read stuff online, read blogs, do whatever you can do to try and grow. But looking at somebody else's growth and getting upset about it isn't going to do anything for you. All you can do is focus on you and your path and your success that you're having, your struggles that you're having, and try and do better. So, it is a distraction, and it's an easy one to slip into because it's easy to feel bad about yourself when those things aren't going as well as you'd like. But there's always someone growing faster than you, and it's impossible to know in a lot of ways how or why that's happening. And fast growth a lot of times is also not sustainable. We have some influencers who are friends of mine who maybe got featured by Instagram 2 or 3 times, right? And they've got 100,000 followers. Now, 80,000 of them have no idea who this person is because they just clicked follow when Instagram highlighted their content. So their engagement is terrible. And these people don't really care about this person. They probably don't even know why they're following them at this point. So their likes and their followers don't match up at all. But if you're building and you have slow, organic, nice, steady growth, that is real, and it's not being fueled by some press mention or some highlight by the platform. It's just you providing value to your readers day after day after day after day. And if you look at it, even if you're growing 3% a month, right? It's a very easy Excel equation you can do where you can stretch it out and see where you'll be in 2 years. And I think you start to see that just like compound interest in finance, these things build on each other, and it's slow, but then as you get bigger, that 3% every month gets bigger and 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 bigger, and hopefully your growth speeds up and the money rains down. I would generally say September and February of each year. That's a dad joke, isn't it?
That's not. It's going to be edited.
It's going to be edited? That's bullshit. Easy answer, when you should attend Fashion Week, when you start getting invited to shows. Once you start getting invited, there's a lot of different things you can do, and we've spoke about a few of them to try and get invited to more shows. But if absolutely nobody is inviting you to shows, I think it would be a little premature to come to Fashion Week. Those invites will come. Presumably, I don't know how many brands show at Fashion Week in New York. I think it's 300 or so. You are probably working with a bunch of those brands if you're considering coming to Fashion Week, and those brands should be inviting you. Now, if you have a relationship and you're working with brands that are showing, you could definitely drop them a line and say that you're interested in attending the show and see if there's an opportunity to do that. If nobody bites, I would say it's not worth going. But if you're doing, if you're working with those brands or you're highlighting them on your blog, you can reach out and you can see if you can get invited. But yeah, I wouldn't just show up to New York with no invites and try and crash events and hustle your way in that way. I don't think that's a good way to go about it. If you're not getting invited to shows, I think presentations are a lot easier. They're open for 3 or 4 hours. And there's a steady stream of people coming through, and I think that's a presentation. If you haven't been to Fashion Week, shows last 10 to 15 minutes, and they do 50 to 90 looks, and you sit down and there's only a certain number of seats for that one show. But a presentation, excuse me, a presentation, they have models with clothes standing there, and they'll stand there for 2 or 3 hours, and people will come in and take photos, whatever it might be. So a lot more people can attend a presentation than they can a show. So if you're not getting invites to shows, look up who's doing presentations, try and get into those, cover those, and then next year maybe you can start going to the shows a little bit more. As far as events, one of the really fun things about Fashion Week is that everybody from the industry is in town for 8 days, and there's a lot of parties and a lot of events. So those can be really fun. Getting into those is like getting into any event. A lot of them are run by a few PR companies, KCD, HL Group, PR Consulting, LaForce and Stevens. So, getting contacts at those big PR firms, who a lot of them are 4Card clients, so it is helpful for you to be a part of 4Card and say that you're attending Fashion Week, can get you invites to some of those events. Good. Look, this is going to be published on Monday, but 4Card is going upstate this weekend. I'm going to finish this by saying tomorrow, as we drive up, we're stopping in an apple orchard, and we're going to have a Snapdragon apple, which was an apple that was released 2 years ago, developed by Cornell University as the greatest apple on God's earth. If you have a chance to eat it, you live in the Northeast, Snapdragon should be landing in the farmers markets within the next week. Look for Snapdragon, buy it, eat it, blow your mind. That's my advice to you this week. Cheers.